situation where you have someone that has some form of delegated authority to lead a team, and you always bypass that person, I can tell you for free that communication in that company will have trouble.
You're welcome to my YouTube channel, by the way.
Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is going to be fun. I think I liked where I ended the last conversation, which is we're talking about internal comms. And I think before I even go into like how to set up the process, I will need us to understand that when I talk about internal comms, I'm not just talking about sharing information. It is part. I'm not just talking about having core values at the different parts of the office, having materials that echo the core values. As a proper comms professional, right, it is practically important that the conversation is not just in the deeds, but how the deeds translate into action. That is when complete communication is done, right? So a sender, a receiver, and then a reaction in the middle, right? Because when proper information flows or information flows in a way, there has to be some form of reaction from the receiver, right? In terms of action, right? And when communication is properly done, there are consequences to it. Consequences is really more like what I mean is that if there's communication in a relationship, there'll be more love, right? So the evidence of communication in a relationship is not that they are talking together, is that there's more love. Why did that just sound like a love seminar? But yeah, so how we know that something is there is that actions are taken. So it is not just about gathering, doing these things that I'm going to talk about. And that is why I'm not going to be using the framework. I mean, maybe I will share like links down of frameworks that I saw online that people could follow, but I'm just going to be talking more from a few steps that I think you can just implement right away. That is going to help you achieve set objectives where it connects to internal communication. To just do like a short recap, internal communication is important for you. Internal communication is a lifeblood. It is how people manage information flow within the company towards a set objective. And that set objective is ensuring that the company succeeds. Like it's ensuring that the company wins, right? So it could be how you are creating a space for people to interact. It could be the fact that there are systems that are put in place to ensure that the right information flows, and when there are actions that should trigger reaction, there is a system that ensures that it is properly communicated. Let's say comms is supposed to do something for marketing. There is a system that ensures that comms and marketing are cooperating. Let's say and support is supposed to send something back to engineering. There's a process, right? There is a designed process flow, right? Not a knee-jerk reaction on how information should flow from support back to engineering, right? Someone has an issue with someone on the team, right? There is a designed process flow, right? On how you report issues that is documented, right? There are issues. Someone gets to reach out to you from the press. There is a design process flow on how the company wants to deal with such an issue that everybody understands. And they also understand why this process flow is designed. So the end of this, I'm not sure I can capture it in like 10 to 15 minutes, but I think that you can pick out some of the things that you need to pick out from this conversation. So while I'm going to be listing some specifics, I hope you can also pick out some of the underlying things I'm going to be mentioning in the conversation. So I'm going to start with one. One of the first things you need to do if you want to have a strong internal communication system is documentation. Yes. So brand strategy, right? Who you are, what you do, why you do what you do, why it is important, the vision, mission, core values, brand experience that we are expected to communicate, the promise we are expected to fulfill for the customer, right? So that everybody is held responsible for the same thing. Nobody, like I mentioned in the last video, there is a Bible that guides our action within the company. You get? So that is the first place you need to start. For internal communication to be done, essence has to be specified, right? Because again, what are you communicating? That's the first one. Proper documentation, right? How do we do X? Proper onboarding. If someone joins the team, what are they supposed to know, right? If XYZ happen, what is the flow on how you're supposed to respond based on the culture of this company? And now, this is how you now begin to even measure. So because it is written down, you can now measure adherence, you can measure consistency, you can measure congruence, alignment towards the same direction. So communication this is how we do this. That's the first one, right? Having it written down. So I think a good place to start would be to ask you, do you have everything about how you want your company to be done, to be run, written down somewhere? Are the people in your company clear about how they're supposed to do their jobs? Right? KPIs, OKRs, which are something like that happens afterwards. But in terms of culture, how you want customers to feel, how you want people to experience your product, so that even the person that is cleaning the office understands that this is how the company runs. This is the culture that guides us. This is how we see what we do. So the first part is documentation. Another one would be after you've documented, right? Yeah, important ones. Fostering communication. That's not the way to put it. I think a better way to put it would be fostering. Is it fostering? Ensuring that there is a space or a culture where people can share, people can talk, people are not scared. There is that space for psychological safety. Again, this connects to the first one. It is documented so that if someone is not creating a space where people are psychologically safe to say the right thing or to say what they think respectfully, then people cannot share. For communication to happen, people should feel like they are safe to say what is right, especially if they are not being rude, they are not being abrasive, or and they are just genuinely care about how the business is run and they can share. So create a space where people can share. Create a space where people can share. It's just so important. Again, as I've said, it connects to number one. Yeah, creating a space where people can share also connects to supporting and incentivizing feedback, suggestions. I mean, the suggestion of what could the next feature to be built could be from an employee in the office, cleaner, anybody who has now helped to sell the product and so is talking to a lot of users. Okay, there's even everybody in the company must refer. So he has been referring a lot of people. So he has a lot of things to say. But because people look down on people in this culture, nobody's even hearing anybody, and so nobody's listening to anybody. And I think another thing that connects to this, I think I'm going to push it towards the end, is that, let me just even mention it now, is that you need to build a system where line managers are respected. What I mean by that is there's hierarchy on the team. Let's say supervisor, lead, team lead, unit heads. Any situation where you have someone that has some form of delegated authority to lead a team and you always bypass that person, I can tell you for free that communication in that company will have trouble. You know why? Because there will be multiple ideas on how to get things done. That's one. Two, what will happen is that sometimes even the person that is directly responsible for an aspect of the company will not have information. Maybe because the CEO is already talking to, let me use a team I'm very conversant with to do this example. Please, no bias. But I mean, so that the example can go. So you're in like the comms and marketing team, and the CEO is already giving social media idea to the person who is managing the communities on social media. And so then the team lead comms and branding and marketing lead will now find out about this post on social media. I think the right thing to do is, if you want something done, talk to the lead, and the lead talks to the person that reports to the lead. What just happens is at every point, so what happens is at every point, right, there is an order in how communication is flowing. What I'm just trying to say is, always there is a consequence for not aligning or respecting offices, right? If you have employed someone to lead a team, respect that person to lead the team. If you need to have a conversation with someone on that person's team, CC the person so the person has an idea of the conversation that is going on his team or in his team, right? So that nobody's caught unawares. It just helps for transparency, it helps for openness, it helps for collaboration, it helps for alignment, right? And I think this is like really important. I'm going to share a couple of things in terms of frameworks later on, but I think these 3-4 things that I've shared in terms of the psychological or the underlying parts of any of the frameworks you are going to see. Any of the frameworks you are going to see is going to have that conversation around alignment, which is like ensuring that everybody on the same page, connecting the people together to work on a corporate strategy. It's going to have something about voice, giving employees a voice to ensure that they are part of, like ensuring that the voice counts, or identification, which is that sense that this is what all of us are going to be. Like, this is our identity, vision, mission, core values, and dialogue, conversation, feedback, right? Anything you're going to do around framework is going to come in between some of the things I've already shared. I hope this has been meaningful. I mean, let's talk, comment section, DM, anywhere, email, on like if you're trying to build like a document for your comms strategy internally. There are several other things that could come into play towards some of the things I've already shared. But I hope this is meaningful enough to influence how you decide to run your company and build a good culture. Because if internal communication is sorted, I think culture is on the way to being sorted. Have an amazing time. My name is Okwayemi Olugwemere. I hope you watched the part 1 before you come to watch this one though.